Right, welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with Monday Special, where we talk youth and politics tonight. The median age in Kenya is estimated at 19 years. Close to 80% of Kenya's population is below 35. I believe almost everyone in studio here is below that age. So, of course, I'm going to let them introduce themselves as I ask them their questions around voter registration and politics in the country. And right next to me, Dr. Alex Awiti, who has spent a lot of time with young people, done research on their views on different issues across the country. So I'm just going to start at random. Let's start with, on this side, your name, your age. Today you have to say your age. And let's start with what's current, whether or not you've registered to vote. So your name, your age, and whether or not you've registered to vote.
Thank you very much for having me here. My name is Wanja Maina. I should be 25 in like 2 weeks' time.
Okay.
Yes, I have registered as a voter.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
My name is Joe Nyaga. I'm 29 years old. I haven't registered as a voter.
Okay. We'll come back and ask you.
It's terrible.
Terrible. All right.
My name's Brian Mungai. I'm a real estate consultant, and absolutely, I was the first one in the queue, day one.
All right.
To register.
Okay. Your age?
I'm 24 years.
24 years old.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm Soila Cole. I'm 21, and I haven't registered as a voter.
All right.
I'm Martha Mara, student, 20,
Okay.
and I haven't yet registered.
You haven't yet registered. Okay.
I'm George Thu, 25 years old, and I have registered as a voter already.
All right. So 3 of you have registered, and 3 of you haven't. Let me ask the 2 ladies very quickly why you haven't registered to vote. If you could just give me a sentence or 2 as to why you haven't registered yet.
Well, I'm still planning to.
Okay.
I had scheduled to do it next week, but a bit reluctant, though.
Next week, which is like the deadline week.
Yeah.
Can you do it this week, or you're not sure?
I wanted to do it,
Yeah.
actually, either tomorrow or Thursday,
Mm-hmm.
because, okay, I really got a bit reluctant, as I said, but
Okay.
I'm getting the view on how I really get to support this voting system,
Okay.
and I'm trying my best to make
Get
sure
in
I
the
vote.
spirit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What about for you?
I'm not planning at all to register as a voter.
How come?
Yeah, I'm not planning.
Yeah. Why is that?
Because I'm not into politics at all. It really puts me off.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about if people say, you know, your vote, your voice, it matters, your vote makes a difference. That doesn't motivate you in any way to want to register to vote?
I've had that like 20 times daily, but it doesn't. Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Once I go around, I'll come to you because I'm sure you get these different views quite a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you for your honesty.
Uh-huh.
I think you hadn't either.
Yes.
Okay. Do you plan to?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Yes.
Okay, lift up the mic a little bit. So you're saying not at all.
Not at all.
Why?
Because I feel like the ballot casting has become a routine process that yields little or no effect to the common mwananchi.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And then very quickly from those who have, let's hear from you, Wanja. Why is it so important that you vote on that day?
Well, I think basically I'll look at my background, pursuing masters in gender, the history of women. 100 years ago, by virtue of being a woman, I wasn't allowed to vote. I wouldn't even vote. So I think it's such a huge privilege that regardless of the outcome, my vote can be heard at the ballot.
Okay.
And I also think that being the largest constituent percentage tells it all that the young people have the highest number.
Okay.
It concerns me. It actually makes me very afraid that we are the future of this country today, tomorrow, and yet people are very reluctant. Then we are the people who are supposed to be taking the leadership. We are the people whose children will be, if I don't have a child and I'll be having in the next 1 year, my children will be affected by the outcome of this election.
Okay.
So I think it's very,
important.
very important.
Okay.
Everyone should register as a voter.
All right. Let's hear from Brian.
It's extremely important. One, because I'm very particular with people that sort of have a view on what's happening in the country, yet they never took part in making that sort of change. So for me, I think your vote is your voice, and especially I know all of us here, we're either students or working.
Yeah.
You've got to think of the economy. So obviously all of your careers have a bearing on who's at the top. So for me, that's really important. I'm in real estate, so when I vote, I'm not just looking at somebody of my tribe. Absolutely not. I'm thinking who's going to actually come up with policies that are actually going to affect that sort of my industry. Are they going to come up with mortgage caps? Are they going to come up with, you know, stuff like that? So
okay,
for me,
that directly affects the industry.
Exactly.
All right, and finally?
As for me, the reason why I registered as a voter in the first place is because I'm always of the opinion that bad leaders are usually elected by omission. By omission, I mean when good people refuse to go and vote, bad leaders either stay in power or come into power.
Okay.
And for me, that's why I believe that the only way in which I can, even if I might not participate in the August House in the debates, but I can choose a representative by my vote.
Okay. You've heard the different views. Like I said, you've worked a lot with young people. You've profiled them. You've interviewed them. Let's talk about the voter apathy right now among young people. Are you surprised by, for instance, what Joseph and Soila are saying, where a lot of them are just thinking, why? It doesn't affect me. Politics in this country is for old people. Doesn't really connect with me. What are your thoughts on that? Why do young people feel that way?
Well, I think there's two things. One is, on the one hand, young people understand the power and the efficacy of the political process. They understand their power in the process too as voters. But they also understand that politics has the ability to allocate resources in terms of who gets what, where, and why. But I think the big problem, and what is reflected in the views that we've just had, is the fact that politics is disconnected from the people.
Yeah. From the people, not just young people.
From the people, not just young people. But young people particularly, because in the survey that we conducted on Kenyan youth, they drew a distinction between politicians and government. And their confidence levels in politicians, that is the process that we're just about to get into, is very low. But in government, in terms of the ability of the bureaucracy to deliver certain goods and services, they seem to be relatively optimistic.
It's the people that put them off, and not necessarily the governing body. It's the individuals.
And I think, just as they have said, for instance, going to vote is one part of the process. But staying connected and keeping politicians feet to the fire and making sure that they deliver on their promise is a very different thing. And I think that's when they lose the young people, because they don't do what they promise to do, and the young people disengage from the process. And as you said, it's become a routine. They come back every 5 years and ask for the vote, then they disappear for 4 years and forget about what they promised to do.
Right. Very quickly, again, the two of you, especially as young ladies, you were saying you're reluctant. You're like, I'm not even interested. What would make you interested in listening in on the politics in the country, or even saying, yeah, I think I'm going to change my mind tomorrow and get a voter's card? Is there something that you would need to see or hear to change your mind? Let me start with you.
Yeah, sure. I think there's something that can change me. Like, for instance, you know, it's the same phrases when I was in class 2. The same people are vying now when I'm in my 4th year. Like, we need people to change. Like, we need like new leaders. Maybe if somebody new can vie for presidency, maybe I can consider and say, let me try this one out, because this one has been over and over again promising the same things and they're not delivering any. So it's like tiring.
All right. So you need to see young, fresh, maybe young faces.
Actually young faces.
Okay, that would make you consider.
Consider.
You're reluctant. You have about a week before you register. What do you think can still encourage you or motivate you to say that you will participate in the voting process?
Well, I'll also add on what my friend has said. Coupling with what she has said, I mean, the political orthodox of this country is so much predictable that you find you have no much of effect towards what happens. But, well, as I would maybe believe one day will rise that people who will really stand in that gap to fulfill what we really want as a people. You know, we want to feel this leadership. Feeling it not necessarily by feeling, in feelings, but how do they affect us? We never see them. Personally, I see them on television, or maybe when they are vying and they came to our university trying to do something. But, okay, I rarely feel the connection, the impact of everything, and that is what would really maybe motivate me, because as a youth, there is that motivation that will really guide me towards acting. And without motivating me, don't expect me to just come out of the blues, and you know at this point of life we are still trying to grow, and ignorance is taking a major part of us. So we might really try to say it takes extraordinary belief and that kind of understanding and motivation to really get there.
All right, you want to say something before we let Joseph and Brian?
For me, I would really be keen to weigh in into this voter apathy debate, because I've been involved a lot in voter mobilization and so on and so forth, and the apathy is real. The apathy is there, and I think it's because, let's look at the NYS for instance. The mega scandal since 2013 to this year, the heart of that mega scandal was money meant for young people. So then the question would be, are we voting? Who are we? Right now we are not really worried about who we are supporting, but who is supporting us? Who came out strongly to talk about the issues of young people? And I think right now the fact that it looks like young people are being forced to register as voters in itself tells you one thing. Why are we not enthusiastic? Why are we not optimistic? Why are we not looking forward? There is always that wave of change, wave of new hope that comes with elections. Not this time. So either we are so used to false hope, there will be jobs, we don't have jobs. There will be this, we don't have this. There will be money meant for young people. It forms the mega scandals in this country. So then the question would be, instead of telling young people to go and register as voters, they should come and ask us why we are not registered. And I believe the voices of these 3-4 young people, that is a dominant voice of the young people in this country. They are not interested.
I'll ask you to weigh in just a moment, unless you want to comment as well, either Joseph or Brian.
Well, I think that as the youth, we are the bosses.
You're the bosses.
We are the bosses, because 60% of the registered voters normally are the youth. We want leaders who will come in and give us interest in the youth. Normally we vote people in, then when they go there, they get the presidency, they get to the top, they forget about us. They don't have the interest of the youth at heart.
And that's why this time you're not even interested.
That's why I'm not interested, because I will vote. Somebody will get on the top, forget about the youth, and then he'll come back to us again after 5 years. Back and forth.
You want to agree or disagree?
No, well, sort of disagree. Actually, with everyone. No, not even like that, but in a humbly. I think we're looking at this whole issue of registering and voting too simplistically, because when you say there's a lack of new leaders, fresh leaders, and everything, I agree to an extent, but I also think that as you register to vote, you also need to register with a political party. Because for me, I've heard a lot of people saying, and this is just by example, oh, in Nairobi, I'm probably not going to vote because of the lack of alternatives. This one versus this one. And I don't see myself, But how do you expect your young leader, who's actually vying in the nominations, to get the party nomination if you're not actually involved within the party? So for me, I actually think politics is so much more than election day. And I think, just picking up from what he said, you need to be involved. You need to actually be involved in picking your leader, because there's so many youth. Like when we even went for these Jubilee things, and there's so many youth that are actually out there like, please, I want to run for Nairobi, but it's the same big boys the whole time.
All the time.
Exactly.
And this brings me to something that he's raised, is even that connection of young people to political party participation. I get a feeling it's almost non-existent, because you don't get the sense that they're involved and told, hey, there's this political party where we really want to create a new wave of change and encourage young people and get young people to be the members. But it's sort of like parties formed by those who've been around. What have you seen in your research about that, about politicians and political parties really trying to get young people involved from that basis, like he's saying, getting them into the party itself?
I think this is going to be a very interesting election. Our research showed that over 40% of young people identify not as ethnic people, but as Kenyans first. If you look at the political cleavages in our country, our politics is organized around ethnicity. I think this is what Mr. Kenyatta and Mr. Odinga must hear tonight. That this is not the Kenya of the 1960s. This is not the Kenya of the 1970s. 78% of the youth we surveyed had more than post-primary education. These guys are asking questions. They're asking, what's in it for me in this vote? As she said, what am I going to get as a person? What is this voter registration drive that is drilled out of everything that are important to young people except just go and register, because at the end of the registration we will know who will have won the vote. So why go to the polls at all if the whole idea is just to mobilize people to register by ethnic voting blocks? And what these young people are saying is that enough of that old dynamic. We're now asking questions of the political class. Voting and election and politics is about delivering services to the people. And they're asking, where are the jobs that we were promised? Where are the new teachers in schools? Why are our cities so squalid and so filthy? What has the governor been up to for the last 5 years? And I think this is at the heart of the political process now. The discourse has to move to issues. It's about what the young people can touch, feel, and see. It's not about those false promises and mobilization by ethnicity.
All right. Do any of you resonate with what he's saying? Like it has to be? Yeah. It has to be more about being issues-based and resonating with you. Could you weigh in on whether you are going to vote? Are you optimistic about the outcome, or are you just doing it because you feel like it's your duty as a Kenyan to cast your vote? Or are you feeling like, I feel like my voice is going to make a difference in the process?
You know, I believe that even if many times in the past we have, like, I agree with him that he's saying, most of the times we have been failed, because when the politicians come and say, they're supporting the youth, it depends with what they want, not what you want. The interest is theirs, not ours. So even if in the past we have seen them come and make promises to the youth, and even this time and for the remaining 6 months we shall see them coming even more. I believe I have not lost, we have not reached the point of despondency where we say we have reached a point of no return. And that is why I'm still optimistic that as the young people, as we aim to get into power, that one, we shall not get into power for the sake of getting into power, but that we shall get there and show that the young people have the solution. You know, you might want to do an evaluation of those people, like in 2013, who went there as the young people. What effect have they caused? What effect? Because if they have not, then as young people we might have to sit back and analyze our strategy. Are we missing something? Do you want to get into power just for the sake of getting into power? I believe that as young people we have the solution if we are focused and we are serious about it.
All right. There's an SMS here of someone saying, please tell those who have not registered to vote to do so. Tell the lady in a blue top, that maybe she needs empowerment through civic education. I'm hoping that she is going to cast her vote after tonight. Something tells me you may not, but it's okay. We'll hold out hope. But a lot of people saying, no, please tell them that they should. Yeah, you want to add something?
Yeah, I would like to weigh into the debate of participation.
Yeah.
You know, participation is a very fluid and a very... that term is used very loosely. In my opinion, young people are participating. They are hooligans. They are making music and dancing on tops of tracks, and if there are fights, it's the young people who can fight. We are the flexible ones who can be able to run and throw stones. I think the question is about meaningful engagement, meaningful participation. And by this I mean to be in the boardrooms. What are these manifestos? What do they mean? These policies, you know, sometimes I think we copy-paste policies, but a group of young people who understand where we are coming from to say, this is the voice of the young people. This is where we want to be in the next 2 years. How can we come in? You get what I mean, Janet? So I think the question of, and if, let us also not forget our history. In 2007, we had the post-election violence. The young people were actively involved. The Waki report says that, you know, young people had nothing to lose, so they were involved. They were perceived to be active participants in the violence. So if you don't involve them in the boardrooms, if you don't involve them in coming up with decisions that really matter, they shall still be used in political violence. They shall be given tokenism, money here and there because they don't have jobs because of unemployment. They are not engaged, and we shall still have
the same cycle.
The same cycle of election violence. So
as you wind up, I'd like to get your final comments because we're almost running out of time. So you are very keen on participation, voting, involvement. Perhaps even women participating more, and he'll confirm the numbers when it comes to women registering is really low. But I stand to be corrected. What would you want to say to a young person who is watching this and still saying they don't really see the need, they don't see how on that day they'll cast their ballots, it'll make a difference? What would you want to say to someone like that?
Well, I mean, I would just say that, you know, it's true that we are young. Let's assume your life you have 50. Let's assume that the lifespan of a human being is 70 years. If you are 20, you are going to be around for 50 years. And these folks who are like 55, they'll be around for the next 10 years only, and then they are gone. So it means that you are trying to define your future in the next 50 years. 50 years is such a long time for you and your children. And I also think that we also need a hope. You know, and that is what Obama did even, and you know, this is not America, yes, but the reason why Obama came to power in 2006, he inspired hope. It can be better, regardless of whether you are a woman, whether you are disabled, whether you are black. There's still a sense of hope. So young people, let us be hopeful and know that we don't have a dual citizenship. This is our country. We are going to be around for the next 50 years. So instead of going back there and throwing our hands around, let us try and shape our life for the next 50 years. Let us engage positively with this political process. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Let's give you a chance as well. Thank you for your views. Thank you. Yeah.
What I think is we need credible electoral system. When we have a credible electoral system, we'll get results that everybody is okay with. We will not have anyone discrediting the results. We want a scenario whereby after we get the results, people can shake hands, like we normally see in the States and all, and accept defeat, so that you can avoid so many things, violence and all other things. So I think it boils down to having a proper electoral system.
And right now you don't really have faith in the electoral system.
No, really we have issues here and
there. So again, just as before I move on to Brian and everyone else, it's a week left. Do you think anything can change your mind in the next few days for you?
Yeah, something can be done.
Okay. For you, what would it take for you to register as a voter? You yourself, yeah.
I need to be convinced that there is a proper electoral system, because as it is, there are already issues here and there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So all right. Thank you for that. All the same. Okay. We'll see. Brian, you're.
Yeah. For me, thank you. For me, it's just picking up from let's not lose hope, but at the same time, let's also not make excuses for our leaders. I'd love an opportunity, Janet, if, for example, in the future, these leaders are they always talk about youth, whatever, vote, but we don't have an opportunity to actually grill them, I would have loved a panel of like 3 of these leaders, and we actually say, hello, Mr. Raila, hello, Mr. Uhuru, you said you were going to deliver laptops. What's the story? Mr. Raila, you're Prime Minister. Please explain what's going to be different when you actually do get the top job. And for me, we make so many excuses for these leaders, and I think we're enabling them. So one, it's that engagement with them, an opportunity to actually talk to them, not have them talk to us.
Okay.
So
and hold them accountable.
Okay. Instead of just having debates between the couriers and whatever themselves fighting each other.
Okay.
Yeah. So for me, it's that.
All right. Thank you.
Accountability.
Thank you so much for that.
My message for the young people is that passivity is not a solution, and we will not solve any of our problem by just assuming and sitting there and hoping that someday somehow things will change. The youth, we are used like the marbles by the politicians, their games. We are the ones that they dangle left, right and center depending on where they want to score. So my message for the young people is that as we get into the high pitch moment, we make sure that we don't allow ourselves to be used, or rather misused, by the politicians for their own interest. We are, at least we have an advantage. We have an advantage, for example, of our parents. We're able to think more clearly when it comes to matters of tribalism. We're able to think more clearly. We're able to not be too much attached to our ethnicity, so that we cannot reason. Let's reason seriously. If it means going against our tribal man, let's do it for the sake of. Like she said, we have a whole long time to come, and if we make a miscalculation this time around, our children might calculate it wrongly, and we shall get it wrong at the end of the day.
All right, thank you.
Well, personally, I would also love to encourage the youth. We don't prepare for the man you are today, but we prepare for the man to be tomorrow. So in short, we can't expect to, involve in so many of these things if we can't start it now. So we have to do it now. Get involved and prepare to be the better leaders you wish they would be. I believe leadership is service, and maybe apart from the youth, I would love to maybe cite a problem I can maybe see on my perspective, which is the root problem, whereby the problem might not be the electoral process or anything else on voter apathy or something like that, but the leaders themselves are the problems, in a way that if people are not performing, that means you are not performing, because we are a mirror of who you are as a leader. So if you are not doing what you say you do, what do you expect us to commit ourselves to? What you want us to support you on? So just walk the talk. Do what you do, what you say, and then help us move together. Serve us, lead us, sacrifice for us, and help us see what you really want to build in future. So in short, the main problem here lies when if they are not performing, don't expect us to, because we are really going to emulate what we see. We don't do what we hear, but
we
what
do what we see. They need to set the example, so that you feel more like
the first foot forward, and we are going to put on the second one, and we'll follow well.
All right, thank you.
Oh, I love
because I'm just about to ask, because from everyone here, you're the one who, I feel like you represent a pretty big group of people who just feel like they're not connected, you know, to the process. They don't feel like it doesn't affect their lives in any way. Whoever wins, whoever doesn't win, your life goes on. So I'd like to hear your final thoughts on politics of the country and the voting process, and whether anything can change your mind in the next few days.
Okay, I would like to second her. She was saying that these leaders talk about stuff they're going to do and they don't deliver it. They're the one who push us away from them, because they'll come campaigning, say they'll build roads, they'll build hospitals. At the end of the day, they don't deliver it. So they're the one who push us away. When they're having the campaigns, they're talking about I'm the man of your tribe, you should vote for me. That really pushes you off. Like, I remember this time I was in town at an M-Pesa shop. I was withdrawing cash, and then this guy came with a bundle of cash, and then I told her like a joke, and then he said, show me your voter's card and then I'll give you money. I'm like, really? You want to buy my vote? Like now? I told her, nah, just stay with your cash. So it really pushes you away when you see it's all about corruption. But if that can be changed, my mind can be changed too.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that. There's so much I want to ask you as we wind up, but how do you think this is going to change moving forward? I think she mentioned, I think it was Wanja who mentioned that this year that there doesn't seem, or I think it was you, there doesn't seem to be a lot of motivation or inspiration around voting, what the next presidency will look like. Are you concerned about what the next few days hold for young people registering to vote and going forward for the elections this year?
Janet, let me be very honest. I am really excited and I'm really hopeful about the future. If this is the caliber of young people that our nation is putting forth. And I think if on the basis of the fact that there is nothing in them for politics, that not the best men and women in our country are offering themselves for leadership, and they are not factored in the politics as an important and centerpiece of that political process, their issues don't matter, then I'm all for apathy. I'm all for stay away from the vote. Because I think politics must be based on what it delivers for the people. And that participation is an obligation, and it's also a right that I should reserve to use. And if there's no reason why my vote should be in the ballot, then I'll keep it in my pocket. But I think that if you're a politician in this country today, listen to these young people, you should be very afraid, because the country has changed and it has moved. These young people now want to see results. They want to see politicians who are accountable. It is no longer easy to just mobilize on an ethnic basis and rock into the State House. It is about showing the people what you can do. And these guys are the majority. They are 80% of the population. As she said, the long future belongs to them. And they must put everything in their power to safeguard that long future. And I'm so happy that they're focused on the issues. Their eye is on the ball. It is about service to the people of this country, and especially the young generation.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all so much for your thoughts. I think I'll just read a little bit of feedback before maybe we bring up some tweets. This is on SMS. Whoever wants any seat in an election should start his or her program and participate early with people around you. Organize and spearhead small projects that could grow into political parties, which is based on what some of you were saying. Someone here called when he says, I strongly second those who don't want to register to vote. Since I was in class 4, those who stand out to lead are the same people. I'm now in second year. The country is sinking, in my view. Why should we vote? There's no leader. And someone else here is saying, please, you're not too special. You have to go out there and register to vote. The power is in your hands. Calvin is saying, hi citizen, I'm a young person. I'm 100% sure that I will not vote because the system is entirely rotten to the core. But someone else here disagrees and says, so how will you elect the leaders that you want to see tomorrow if you're just going to sit back and say, it's not up to me? So completely, the views are split just as much as they are over here. I do believe this is a conversation that needs to be had throughout. I feel like we shouldn't wait for an election year. But every year, we need to have that civic education, get people to understand and participate in politics and the political parties as well. Maybe that could make a difference. I think we have some tweets. Let's see if we can bring those up before we wind up completely tonight on Monday Special. Okay. Let's see. The first tweet is from Nancy Okuto. It says, it's high time youth register and vote. Responsible leaders. Enough of only being part of the statistics. Okay, then we have Bigon Arone. I hope I've read that right. The youth play a very great role in Kenyan politics. They are the largest group of active critics, campaigners, and voters. Excuse me. Erica Minor says, I'm Erica from Machakos, 21 years old, not yet registered as a voter. I'm not planning to at all. Okay. Nafis Novik says, why vote when Kenya as a nation is held hostage by the interests of few, high and mighty? Joseph is nodding his head in agreement. Ahmed says, I'm not voting because these people only go to parliament to enrich themselves, so there's no point. Stephen says, young people should come out and register. Your vote, your destiny. Okay, I think this is the last one, or one of the last ones. Our politicians are the problem. They use youth as foot soldiers, but don't involve young people in development. And finally, Don Kenya says, good point there. If you need new young faces in the ballot, be an active party member. Vote for them during nominations. Okay, sorry. So those are the views. Remember to keep the conversation going. Use the hashtag Monday Special KE on Twitter. Text on 22422. We'll see you again next time on Monday Special. Thank you for watching.